We're good? Live? Okay. Okay, folks, I'm going to go ahead and call us to order just so this meeting doesn't go on forever. I want to get you home at a reasonable time, so I'm going to give everybody just a couple minutes to come down there. I think we can leave the lights on tonight. I do have a demonstration to show you on the telescope. But what I wanted to do tonight was to do a brief walkthrough for Sky Safari. So I approached astronomy as a kid through my Boy Scout group, and I had an uncle had a telescope, and so I, like most of you in this room, found I loved telescopes from an early age. So I would look through a telescope, and that was about it until I got older and I could afford a good telescope, and I actually put a camera behind a telescope, and then I fell in love with them. And so my introduction to telescopes and astronomy was through the imaging side. So I started imaging with my telescope, and it took me a couple years to slow down and get to the observing side. And, you know, the beautiful thing about it, Richard used to say to me, you know, Matt, I know you're enjoying and fighting your technology, because I would be over there fighting technology and Richard would be looking at beautiful stars and objects, and I would look at him and he was so calm and I was so angry and was ready to throw things. And so, you know, it took me a while to see the light at the end of the tunnel and to understand that I wanted to observe as well. But now I have seen the light, and I love looking through my telescope. So I actually brought my telescope tonight to show you how I've got it all connected. So I started like most people in this room in terms of observing with all of these guides. And if you look at all of these things, you can see this is what I would go out and write. How many of you can relate to this? You got a little table you carry, you put all your stuff on the table, and you're like looking through it, and you remember, oh, that chart's in this book. And you're like, oh, well, let me just get it out of here, right? And you have all these books, and it's just a pain in the rear end to carry it. And then there's these, right? You have your log books. Every time you're out on your telescope, you're making notes in your observing books, and then you're copying it over here. Thanks, Ralph taught me that trick a long time ago. But these are my observing notebooks. And over the course of the last 2 years, I've been working on the Northern Hemisphere Constellation Hunter program, which I just completed through the Astronomical League. And halfway through that, they updated Sky Safari version 7. And I thought, you know, I'm going to give it another try. And not only did I fall in love with Sky Safari, I realized just how feature-full it was and how good they had made it. Now, if you're like me, you found Sky Safari back at version 2 and 3, and it would work for like 15 minutes and it would crash. Well, those days are gone. Sky Safari now is one of the best apps out there for astronomy. And tonight, what I want to do is simply walk through how you set up your app for astronomy. Now, this is my Northern Hemisphere Constellation Hunter. These are all my sketches, and these are all the drawings of the constellations that I did, because I'm an overachiever. And you have a lot of time in between this to actually draw things, because trying to find clear nights to do all 39 constellations that's in the Northern Hemisphere Constellation Hunter program takes forever. So during the time when it was cloudy, I would draw them. And so when I look at Pegasus, this is what I see. When I look at Cancer, that's what I see. When I see Draco, there it is. You know, Triangulum, that's a pretty easy one, right? It's a triangle. There's not a lot to that. But there's a lot of, you know, Monoceros. There are constellations. I had no idea they were out there. One of my nephews had a thing for pink unicorns. So all of those things are just free-handed by me. They're just things that I immortalized in my puppers. That's my dog Maggie. In my drawings, and it was really personal for me. But that aside, these notes were taken from this journal right here. They're all in here, and they were taken here and then copied into here. But you know, you got all these books and sky charts to find these things. So in the Northern Hemisphere Constellation Hunter program, you have to find all the principal stars in these constellations. So basically the outline of the constellation. And what I did was I observed it, and then I would give them the information they required, which was latitude, longitude, seeing, transparency, conditions, sky quality if you have that reading, equipment used, and and from there I would just transpose it all into those books, and then I submitted it to Cliff, and it was accepted. But this is one of the Orion images, and you can see overlaid all of my stars line up with my constellation drawing. So that's how I did every constellation. And tonight what I want to do is make your life way easier by using Sky Safari. And it can be. I'm hoping tonight I'll make you a believer. So if you don't have Sky Safari, at the beginning of this little idea of mine before Christmas to do this, Sky Safari was free on the App Store. Now it's $2.99. So I apologize. It's $2.99 for the lowest version of Sky Safari. It is for apps, but the paid version, the pro version is $19.99, and it gets marked down to $14.99 during Christmas time and holidays. So it's worth it. It's worth every penny, and I'll tell you why it's worth it now. It is synced now all the way across the platforms. Before, if you had it on your phone, it wasn't the same if it was hooked up to your iPad. Now, if you have it on your phone, it's synced to your iPad automatically. Anything you do, you have to do the Live Sky. Ralph's over there shaking his head. Live Sky is $10 additional a year, but it's worth it. It syncs everything, and I'm going to show you how. So Sky Safari is for three types of observers. It's for these people who hold it up and find it in the sky, right? And if you look, I've got Sky Safari up right here, and if you move it, you'll see that it follows the night sky as I move it. And that's because it's using the gyroscope in the phone to do that. This little button up at the top that says AR, if you touch that, it turns it off. Now it's not using the gyroscope. If I turn it back on, it's using the gyroscope. That used to be broken. It's fixed now. That's on and off with a button, with a push. So Sky Safari will let you look up. So you see a bright star in the sky or some giant bright thing, and you want to know what it is. Well, Sky Safari will show you what it is. So this person would be a visual observer. They're the person that's going to say, what's that bright star on the horizon? Oh, that's Venus. That person really doesn't care if they have a telescope. They don't care if they know what it is. They're just really trying to connect the dots, find out what it is. They might be interested in cardinal points, north, south, east, and west, but that's about it, big things. Then you have telescope observers. Those are the people that have a telescope. They have thought, I would like to hook up my telescope to this app. I would like to put my telescope equipment in here to know what my field of view is. If you look at my app, you'll see, and I'll show you in just a second, you can see circles, and that highlights my field of view with my telescope. So I know exactly what I'm going to see through these two telescopes. The purple view is the little telescope, and the blue view is the big telescope. So I know before I get to an object what it's going to look like through the eyepiece. And then the final type of observer would be the astronomical observer. And this person is out trying to take notes. They are trying to physically observe, and they may be working on observing lists for the Astronomical League, or they may just have an interest to find their way around the sky by star hopping. And so tonight I want to show you how to set up your Sky Safari to do any of these. The first things first, you got to figure out orientation, north, south, east, and west. It's easy for me at home. My house, the east and west side of my house are perfectly aligned north and south. So at home, I know where I am. I know my cardinal points. But it's handy to know it so that you know that if your gyroscope is right. I have never had an iPhone that was perfect until this one. I dropped my phone a couple weeks ago. I finally got a new one. This is the closest one I've ever had, which means it's off because it's the difference between magnetic and polar north. And this one actually is wrong, but it's right, right? Yeah, that's confusing just a little bit. So you got to know orientation. And to do that, you have to make sure your device settings are properly configured. You have to make sure that you've turned on location for Sky Safari to use the location, so it knows where you are. So Sky Safari knows where you are on the globe. You also need to give it access to your microphone. You also need to give it access to your camera for the augmented reality, so you can actually put it up in the sky and see the star behind it, and it will label it. It's pretty awesome that way. And then you need to know how to set up your Sky Safari, how to set it up so that you can use it. And then you got to understand a little bit about stellar magnitude or light magnitude of stars, and I'll show you that in a second. So we're going to start at the control panel for Sky Safari, and I'm going to get through this real quick. But this is the first place you start, and you're going to need to set your location. Now, this is what it looks like from an iPad. For you guys, any of you that are thinking, oh, this is different than mine, this is just the settings on iPad. If you go to settings, it looks the same. Those are the same settings that are there. It's just that this is on a phone and that's on an iPad. But you're going to set it so that it uses the current location. That's the best way to do it. That way it'll always be current for you. You can physically put those times in there if you want to, but it'll configure it itself. The next thing, okay, so this is hard. Somebody flip the lights for me back there if you can, right there. All right, so this is what happens if you touch the night button down here on the panel. It goes red, so it doesn't blind you, right? Now here's the caveat with that. I'm going to make a recommendation that you do not use the night feature in the app. And here's why. It's still a little buggy. And if you get a phone call, if you've used the night version and somebody calls you, it goes back white and blinds you. Okay? And so don't use the night version just yet. They'll figure that out, but right now they've not. So you turn off the night version here, and in your Android and your iPhone, you use something called assisted color filters, and you can set it up so with 3 clicks of your side button, 1, 2, 3, everything goes red. And now if you get a phone call, it's red too. So it will not ruin your night vision. You can flip the light back on there. And this is, you can see, even with the night vision, actually flip it off one more time, I'm sorry. You see, even with the night vision, this is Sky Safari night vision. See how it's still labeled some things white? And that'll ruin your night vision. So you can flip it back on. So you want to make sure you've got your device configured so you can turn the red on and off. And that's very handy. You're going to want to use that because here's what I want to do for you. And here's what I do now. I used to have all this stuff. Imagine me sitting out in the middle of nowhere in my chair with my music stand, with all of my books and stuff on it, taking notes and dropping things and knocking stuff over, with all of those books on this little music stand or table or whatever I had. Yeah, you guys did really laugh a lot. And now what I do is I have the music stand still, but now I'm notepad, pencil, and Sky Safari. I'm not using all those guides and books out at the site anymore, and I'm going to show you why and how. So going back, red screen. The next screen we're going to set up is formats. This is just how you want your date and time to appear. The next one is appearance and behavior. So on your phone, if you go to settings and you go down to appearance and behavior, you have 3 options at the top: color chart, monochrome chart, and inverse monochrome chart. If you have it at color chart, which I do, I am able to see the gradients of the Milky Way. So if I find the Milky Way, I can see the gradient. Okay, give it a second. Here we go. There's the Milky Way. See the lightness? See how it gets lighter there? That's the color chart. Now, if I've got it set on appearance and behavior to be monochrome, then it's just black and white. That's what that means. If I have it set for it to be inverse monochrome, it is white and black. And this is why this is handy. Lots of old schoolers, they're used to their sky charts looking like this, white and black. So inverse white and black is just like you're used to, but it's easier to use now. So that's what the inverse white and black monochrome is, and that's how that works. You can set it to how you want it to look. I should also say you can now use Sky Safari in some of these apps to find things and objects depending on the program you're doing with the Astronomical League. Lots of the challenges allow you to. Some of them ask you to star hop, but because of light pollution, they have really eased up on their requirements. And so now you can use these assistants to help you. So notifications. Oh, what happened there? Okay. Okay, we're still in. So here's other things in appearance and behavior. You can turn on your compass and AR buttons. You can turn them off. If you want to declutter your screen, you can do that right here with appearance and behavior. You can basically turn everything off and all you got is the stars and it's moving, okay? But you can also have sound effects, ambient sound. That will run your battery down. I suggest you turn that off. But that's how appearance and behavior, the appearance and behavior tab works. Then you have notifications. This is if you want Sky Safari to tell you, hey, the International Space Station's about to go over. You can turn that on, so it'll tell you that. Horizon and Sky. This is where you can add a panoramic image. Now, I had visions of grandeur of showing you how to import your own image. But let me just say, they have not worked that out yet. Dennis and I, Dennis worked a long time trying to make this image so it would fit, and it just wouldn't work. So you're going to need to pick one of these, Desert Road, Great Meadow, whatever. There's one, Mauna Kea, Mountaintop, you know. There's all kinds of things you can use for your horizon. Or you can just turn it off and use a transparent line so you know where the horizon is, if that works for you. But that's what the horizon and sky will allow you to do. Now the next one is the solar system. This will allow you to turn planets on and off. If you want to see where the planets are and that's it, you can turn everything off, stars and all, and just look at the planets. So Sky Safari will allow you to select exactly what you want to find just simply by checking these boxes. You can also go through it and you can just do comets, you can just do asteroids, you can just do satellites. You can turn all that on and off and easily find it with Sky Safari now. Under the stars preview, well, still solar system, you can have the moon and see the planet orbits, so you know where it'll be in a couple days. You can accelerate time and see where it's going to be on Thursday. Then you've got stars, and this is where magnitude comes in. Understanding magnitude is important. Anybody know what the naked eye limit is for magnitude? It's 5.2. It's 5.2. The moon is what? -10? Does that sound right? 14? Yeah. And the sun is like -28. Yeah, it's way bright. So see, it goes opposite. So you think it would be bigger, the number would be bigger if it was brighter, but no, that's not how it works. So the brighter it is, the lower the number, and the dimmer it is, the higher the number. And so you can set, so if you're doing the globular cluster challenge for the AL League, some of these things are super, super dim. You can go in here and you can set up the magnitude to like 13, like really, really small. And then you can only see the dim things. All right? So you can set the magnitude to the stars you're looking for. And that's super handy when you're really trying to find these small, tiny objects. You can set it to just find double stars if you're into double stars, which I got to say, in the northern hemisphere constellation hunter, the double stars in Monoceros was my favorite part of the whole program. There are two binary star pairs in Monoceros. One's a blue binary star pair and one's a gold binary star pair, and they are fantastic. One's beta and one, I think, I'm going to say gamma, but it probably isn't. Might be theta. I don't know. But it's in there. And you can adjust that magnitude scale right here so that you can move it up and down. Then you've got deep sky objects. If you want to be able to see just globular clusters, just open clusters, just bright nebula, just dark nebula, just planetary nebula, you can just turn those on and leave everything else off. If you see what I'm getting at is that you can make this, you can cater it to exactly what you need to find in the sky. Then you've got the constellations. If you're doing the Constellation Hunter program, you can turn it on to just show the constellations. And it will only show you the principal stars in the constellations. And that's fantastic, super, super handy. You can also set it up to show you either traditional lines, modern lines, mythical figures, or just the zodiac. However you want to put it up there. Then you've got the grid and reference. This tab, leave it alone. Don't mess with this tab unless you want to get really messed up. Okay? It's fine where it is at equatorial coordinates. If you change it like I did, you'll spend 2 weeks trying to figure out why everything's backwards. And then you'll call or send an email to Sky Safari and they'll say, did you mess with the grid and reference tab? And you'll say, I don't know, maybe. And they'll say, put it back on equatorial coordinates, and all of a sudden your telescope goes the right way and doesn't go down when you point up. Okay? So leave that at equatorial coordinates. Then you've got magnitude. So having said all of this with the settings, these settings are there for you to set it just like you need it to. This is a magnitude scale. Again, you see Hubble Space Telescope up here around 27, really, really dim. Naked eye limit right at 5.2. Polaris is right at 2 or 3. Sirius is over here at -2. Venus is a brightness -4. Full moons -11. I think you said 14. Sun over here at 28. So understanding magnitude, being able to adjust that magnitude scale for what you can see really will help you when you're observing. And that's how you set up your Sky Safari to be able to find things in the sky. Now, those 3 types of observers. Visual observer, no telescope. They're just out there, oh, that's Venus. Oh, that's Jupiter. They're using it that way. You're going to need to figure out orientation. That's what this is good for. If you've got your phone set to use the location, it will show you exactly where you're at. And at the bottom, you can see the cardinal directions, cardinal points there. You can see my telescope pointed there. It will also show you events. There is an events tab, and it will show you when Io is going to transit Jupiter at 1742. I've got mine on 24-hour time. When the first quarter moon is exactly. When Ganymede's shadow is going to transit Jupiter. Europa's shadow transit. It's going to show you all these things and the dates. So the events panel can help you know what you want to observe. If you want to find something, you can find it under events. You can set the dates at the top, when to start and when to end, and find events. If you're going out to show somebody something, you can find cool events this way. And that's where a visual observer would use Sky Safari. Now, there's also a search feature. If you want to find Jupiter, if you want to find Venus, you just type it into the name, and it will. So I'm going to use it on my phone and show you. If I go to search, there is a Tonight's Best tab, and it shows me, if you look at it, everything's there's 2 colors on the screen. You see things that are bright and things that are dark. If it's dark, it's not up. You can't see it. If it's bright, it's up and you can see it. So I'm going to hit Messier 78, which is in Orion, and I'm going to hit locate, and see the arrow it puts on the screen? I can point my phone right to Orion, and there it is. If I could see Orion, it would be pointed right at M78. And that's all through the search panel. Now, here's the Tonight's Best panel I mentioned, and you can see some are dark. You can't really tell there, but some are darker and some are lighter. The Tonight's Best will always show you what's up tonight if you've got location enabled. And in the planner, you can also put things in there and see when they're at their zenith. So this is super handy. You find an object that you need to observe through the Astronomical League, it'll tell you exactly when it's in the dark hours. See how it works? Dark, daytime. See, we got that? And so here's the sun, right? And so what does that show right here? It means that the moon's almost new, doesn't it? Because the moon is real close to the sun here. And that's what the planner will let you do. And you can turn off, if you've got a bunch of things in your planner, you can just turn them on and off to see what's up and what's not. Then you've got your observation lists. Now, I have 22 lists in mine right now. These observation lists are going to be amazing for you. And this is probably why Sky Safari is the best program going right now. These observation lists you set up, and you can go through and say, Taurus, I want all the principal stars in Taurus, or you can set it up yourself, and then it will plot it for you, and it will allow you to go to your list and just check them off as you go through it, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So that's if you're a visual observer. You can do all of this just by pointing it up in the sky. Here's the observer planner again. Once again, you can select what's visible, what's not visible, restrict the ranges in terms of altitude. If you've got a tree at a certain altitude, you can just restrict it and you don't have to worry about it. And it'll tell you, based on what you've set it to, when you can see it in your yard if you've set this up properly. Then you've got you can restrict to constellations, or catalogs. One of the biggest things I learned in the Northern Hemisphere Constellation Challenge was the HD catalog. I always just knew it was the HD catalog. Now I know it's the Henry Draper catalog, but I didn't know that before, but I do now. Super handy. You can just restrict it to these catalogs so you can easily find these stars, or you can restrict it to constellations. So if I just want to see stars in Taurus, I can go and turn it to Taurus, and that's all I'm looking at tonight. And it shows me when it's up and when it's down, when the last one hits my horizon, so that I don't run out of time. Super handy, all configurable through Sky Safari. And then there's the telescope observer. This person has a telescope. They're really not worried about putting it on a mount and tracking or anything. This person just has a telescope. They want to find things. All right? They're not interested in observational data, taking notes. They just want to be able to look up. Again, you can set up your equipment in here, and you can see all my equipment set up in Sky Safari. Every telescope I have owned over the last 20 years, and every eyepiece I've owned over the last 20 years. And once you set them up, you can go through and see exactly, can you flip that light for me again? You can see exactly your field of view. So the scope on the left is my TSA 120, and the scope on the right is my FOA 60. So here are my 6 eyepieces. Is that 6? It might be 7. I don't know. You can see my eyepieces. You can see my field of view. So my little FOA 60 has almost a 5-degree field. Look at that. It's nice. You can see all kinds of stuff. It's like a glorified guide scope. Way better than a guide scope. But you put my oxygen filter in that thing, and oh my goodness, it's awesome. You can see some serious nebulosity through there. And so I can know exactly what I'm going to see, and it will allow you to color code them. So you could color code every color different. You can turn off every one of them. You could just leave your 13 up, or your 4.7, or your 4mm ortho. Whatever you're using to do something, you can configure it that way through the equipment setup. You can flip the light back on, please. Thank you. You didn't know you were going to be an assistant tonight. And again, the observation planner, you can use that if you're using your telescope. Tonight's best, once again, shows you what's up. And then finally, you have the astronomical observer. That's what I'm doing this for. So that some of you who are out there doing observations will start using Sky Safari. And I'm going to show you why you want to do that. Manual or motorized telescope, you're interested in the observational data. So this is where the observations panel comes in. If I have my Sky Safari up and I click observe, I can see events that I showed you, planner that I showed you, observing list that I talked about, and my actual observations. I can actually export a CSV, an XLS spreadsheet with all my observations and notes I've taken so that I can make notes later in my book. And that's what I did for the last 22 constellations. I did everything through Sky Safari and took notes by dictation, and it was amazing. I didn't have to freeze my fingers writing with a pencil. All I had to do was sketch that star. And that's why I have all of these little books, because I was not able to forego these. You're going to have to do the sketching yourself. So observation panel lets you set all that up. So I'm moving to Live Sky. Ralph, you said it didn't sync. This is how it syncs. You pay for Live Sky. You see it says premium. It's $10 extra. But look, when you do it, it syncs all your observing list. It syncs all. So these are all my lists. And I broke them down by Monoceros, Ursa Major, see constellations. You get the pattern. Here's the number of objects in every list. Here's the number of observations in every list. Okay, here's where I can download this panel, and this is where I could share it with my friends that anybody wanted to open it. And this is where you can edit it and make changes. This is the observation list, super handy. Here's my actual observations. So in, this is probably Orion. Yeah, no, it's not. That's Samoa, I don't know. But you can see the observations. Okay, that's Monoceros, because that's Rosette, isn't it? Isn't that right? Rosette's in Monoceros, isn't it? Yeah, yeah. So this is Monoceros. Yeah. So, yeah. So here's my observations. And then here is my observation sites. And all this is synced online, Live Sky. You just go to livesky.com, log in. Whatever's on your Sky Safari is on that. And then finally, here's the dashboard. Now, when Dennis and I were in Marathon, for like 3 nights, I was the #1 observer in the United States. It was awesome. Every night I was like, Dennis, I'm #1 again. And Dennis was like, what? Yeah, I was super excited. I was happy about it. So So those are my observations that I've made, and my sessions, you can break them into sessions, the observing lists, my sights, my field of view indicators. So I got it all set up, and my recent equipment I've got in there. Here is the observational data export, okay? So you can see very faint nebulosity with 2 stars prominent inside. So here are my notes, and all that was done with dictation into Sky Safari, and I'm going to show you how. So, yeah, I'll show you. So now it's the connection demonstration. And we might want to point this to the telescope so that people online can see this. But here is my telescope, and this is what's called a Nexus. It's made by Astro Devices, and it's got encoders in it. In my panel, if you look at my panel, I have my AM5 set up. I have a Skywatcher AZ-GTI, which is the cheapest encoder mount you can buy. It actually has 2 million steps. It's actually a really amazing encoder setup. Yeah, because this one has 152,000 steps, and it's way more expensive than an AZ-GTI. This one, though, is pretty precise. Well, it's very precise. It's got slow motion controls, so you can move things around easily. I got a green laser in there. My field of view indicators are all set up there. And it is synced to my iPad, which is right here. So all this time, it's been synced. Now, if you see this, everybody see this? Watch this telescope. You see it moving? So it's synced. So here's what that means. Because it's synced, if I say I want to go to the observation panel and go to my observation lists and go to Orion, I can click Highlight Objects in SkyChart. And look, all of my objects in Orion are now highlighted in orange. See that? Everybody see it? And not only that, this is going to be tricky because it's going to be behind me. Yep. Okay, here we go. So I can put it right on the Orion Nebula just by pointing it because it's synced. And now, when I look through here, I can see the Orion Nebula. And it's that easy, and it's super precise. I mean, I found double stars with this thing. I found all kinds of stuff. But here's why it's awesome, all right? I'm going to blow your mind. I'm going to observing lists. I'm going to do this on here because I don't have the microphone configured on the iPad because I prefer to do it with this. But I'm going to go to M42. Well, actually, I'll just do M78. And I'm going to find it in the sky, which is right here. And I'm going to click this little eye next to it. So M78 pops up. I click the little eye. I hit More. And I hit Create New Observation. And now it asks me, what session do I want to use? Well, I'm going to use today's session that I've already set up. I'm going to use the Orion observing list. And I'm going to set, it's not in there, it tells me. I didn't add it. So I'm going to add it to the list. Now it's in there. The seeing is perfect seeing tonight. It's not, but I'm just, Limiting magnitude, I don't know. It's probably what? Tonight, 8, 3, 2, -2. It's bad, so I'll just say 2, okay? Done typing. Sky quality, I've got a sky quality meter, but if you don't, it's probably 18 here, but I'm going to put 20. And then I'm going to go to choose equipment. I'm going to tell it that I'm using my Takahashi 120. Then I'm using my Ethos 13 millimeter. And then I'm going to go to comments, and I'm going to touch inside the comments. And I'm going to click the dictation button. M42 has a bright center. There are many stars in the star field. I would say that it is well populated. There is a star at 3 p.m. and 8 p.m. There is visible color in my eyepiece with my Takahashi 120 and my Ethos 13 millimeter. And now that is logged, and all I have to do is export it to a spreadsheet tomorrow and copy it all into my observing log. And I did all that without freezing my fingers and going to the next one. And the beauty of that is I hit done typing, and then all I got to do is go right to the next star. And that's it. And that's why Sky Safari is so great these days. Yes. I see you have questions. That's basically what I have.
Okay, so
Yep.
Earl, there's your QR code.
Yeah. If you want to join us, join right here. Now, let me just say this before I finish. I have all the web links I've talked about tonight, and I have the Welcome Neighbor Observing List that I've created for our society. It has 13 objects on it. I'm going to add one more because I didn't put the moon on there, but then I thought I should put the moon, and I kept thinking to put the moon on there, but I'll put it on there. But you can download the observing list from my website straight to your Sky Safari, and I've got pins on order that will look just like this with a 2023. They're just from the Astronomical Society. But if you want to get a cool-looking pin, you know, for observing challenges, these are super easy objects. There's 13 things that are up. You can download it from my website. Just scan this QR code. It'll take you straight to my website. And this, if you want to join the BAS, you scan that, and it'll take you to the join page for the BAS. Any questions?
Yeah, Star Safari Pro 7.
Yep.
You get that, and then you pay another fee to get the live.
Yeah, so you got to buy 7, which is, it varies. It's usually $19.99 or $29.99. Yeah.
There's the basic, there's
Yeah.
and there's pro. And
Yeah.
Plus is, I think, more like the $19.99.
Yeah.
The pro is more expensive.
Yeah.
I use plus.
Yeah.
And I don't. It has everything that Matt's talked about
Yeah.
tonight, and about a million things that you will never need.
Yeah. Yeah, it's got everything in it.
I don't feel like you need the pro.
No,
version.
no, and I'll say this: the Live Sky portion is worth it because it syncs everything. You know, if you do something on your iPad, it's synced to that, so you can sit and just add all your equipment one day when you're not doing anything, or add a bunch of observing lists, or do. What's that? It's a yearly subscription, yeah, yeah. But it's great, and they do challenges up there, and they put all kinds of cool things up there. But those events are pretty awesome as well. Any other questions?
Yeah, I was told that white telescope is available for us beginners to take home and just clean for it.
No. Who told you that? That's bad info. Sorry.
It's gonna be for sale later.
No, it's not. No, nobody's taking my telescope home.
Hey, Matt.
This is my baby.
Matt, I don't have the Live Sky Pay version myself, but I was able to sync my Nexus DSC config over to all my various platforms. You have to create the free account, which I did.
Yeah.
So.
And if you do this, I have all of the steps for your basic encoders out there. I found a list with all of them listed. And so some mounts have encoders, okay? And they will have physical steps, all right, ticks. And then some mounts have what's called a basic encoder unit, and that's how they move around in the sky. The AM5 and the ASI Air, it has a basic encoder unit. I got my AM5 paired with Sky Safari, and you can actually use Sky Safari to send your AM5 wherever. You can even turn on the point to feature, and wherever you point your phone, your telescope will point to. And then you can turn on dictation, and you can say, go to M42, and your telescope will go to M42. Yes, it's pretty technical, but you can do it.
Just don't turn it.
Yeah, just don't be. That's right. That's right. You can set limits. That's right. You can set limits. Any other questions? Any other questions? Okay, well, I just want to say thank you all, and I hope you get out with Sky Safari. It is a great program, and they've made it better and better and better and better, and I just can't say enough about it. I spend a lot of time putting in the sky lists for my next observing program into it, so that when I'm out there, I can just go through it with my phone. Because walking outside with a notepad and a pencil and this, it's way better than dragging all that out there. It's just better. Now, I know there are purists out there that want to go and star hop and look for those things, and I get it. It's cool. I get it. If I got time to do it, I'm doing it. But
Welcome to the 21st century.
yeah, it's also nice to be able to do this. So thank you all. Again, my website, all my contact information is there. If you have any questions or you want to have some questions about the mount and all this setup, please come up and ask. And that's all I got.